It is a place to hide in the shadow of terror, a place to celebrate a terrible victory. We have given birth on this table and have prepared our parents for burial here. At this table we say with joy, with sorrow. We pray of suffering and remorse. We give thanks. Perhaps the world will end at the kitchen table while we are laughing and crying and eating of the last sweet bite. Can I have one of those pens? You got a bunch of pens.
Don't lose that one.
Well, I may keep this one.
All right. Thank you very much. And now I'm just going to read the list of people who are on their way up, so everybody knows who's coming, what, when, and where. So we have Clyde, then Owen, then Stephanie, then me, then Richard coming back for the open, and looks like hold on a second.
No, it's gonna be just.
Yeah, so she wrote it here. And that's it. She's
Real poetry, man, but.
Take it away. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank
High
you.
school.
I just go to places around.
Please, audience, focus.
No more rowdiness.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, come on, step right up, folks. Gonna grab yourself a front row seat before the gauntlet. They're going fast. You don't want to miss this. It's time for another exciting installment of the Clyde Always Show. With me, your always clever, always handsome, always charming host, Clyde Always. And I am the bard of the lower hate, if you don't know me. Oh, and last Friday, the most beautiful bird or hippie chick flew into my open mic, and she stuck a crow feather in my cap, and I, like vain and pompous parakeet, have been cooing at myself in the mirror ever since. Here's a modern day fable for you. It's called Clyde Always Does What He Pleases. The door said pull, but like a bull, I pushed it ever harder. Without a cringe, I broke the hinge and made that door a martyr. It called with pep, boy, watch your step, but never did I listen. I cracked my head and buckets bled, the top my dome was missing. So dazed and bent my way I went, a hand shone red and flashing. But street I crossed while traffic tossed their wheels my back a-bashing. Though snapped my spine, my arms worked fine, so on I kept a-crawling. And as they walked, the people mocked at me, their brother fallen. I laughed along to know they're wrong, like sheep confined to borders. So with my pride, right there I died of disobeying orders. Thanks, everybody. Now, it's story time at the Clyde Always Show, and I'd like to read a story to you that I just wrote this morning, and it's called The Tale of Mean Marvin, and it goes like this. Once upon a time, there was a little boy with a scruffy ginger top and freckles all over his face, and his name was Marvin McManahan. Marvin was a real meanie, a downright vicious bully. He loved to smack the other boys with skateboards and baseball bats, and the girls he'd stab with pencils. He had a whole closet full of assorted knickknacks and bouncy balls and video games that he'd robbed or lifted from the kids at school. Marvin was only 10 years old, but he was already the most hated person in his whole town, seeing as how he was such a miserable, sadistic little prick. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, maybe this Marvin kid had a bum deal. Maybe he had abusive parents or something, right? Unfortunately, this was not the case. You see, Marvin's mother was a kind and loving homemaker, and Marvin's other mother was a mild-mannered architect. And even they were afraid of their son and would often curse under their breath, that lousy sperm donor. But it so happens that one summer day in a secluded corner of a sunny playground, Marvin was burning assorted insects under a magnifying glass. See, he loved to torture all things that could be described as puny, and most especially those that couldn't easily defend themselves. When all of a sudden out of the bushes came another little boy that Marvin didn't recognize, but he noticed right away that the boy was skinny and wispy and weak. He also noticed that the boy looked strange and eerie and dreamy with a blank expression and a sickly complexion, and his clothes were out of style. Right away, Marvin dropped his magnifying glass and ran up to the kid and grabbed him by the scruff of his neck and shouted right in his face, "Give me whatever you got, you little runt." Now Marvin had employed this tactic many times before, and it had always worked perfectly, so you can imagine his surprise when that little boy just stood there, stoic and brave, not doing or saying anything. Well, Marvin raised his fist and growled, "Didn't you hear me, twerp? Give me whatever you got, or I'm gonna knock your teeth out and stick them under my pillow tonight." But still the little boy stood silently with his shoulders square and his chin held high, and he did not produce any bubble gum or lunch money. Well, Marvin stomped and roared like a bear, and he cracked his knuckles one by one. And that's when the little boy started to hum. And he hummed the most beautiful song. And it sounded like a mosaic of every song that had ever been written. It danced and harmonized and started out low and built and built and built towards the grandest of crescendos. In fact, it was the most perfect and ingenious musical performance ever performed here on planet Earth. But the hard heart of Marvin McMinahan remained unmoved as his fist plowed completely through the little boy's face. And then Marvin looked on in horror as that little boy, the entirety of that little boy, disintegrated into a massive, menacing cloud of bugs. Bugs of all shapes and sizes and colors. Bugs from all over the world. And they swarmed him and bit him and stung him and creepy crawled all over him.
Yay!
Oh, Marvin screamed and pleaded and begged for help. Yet through all his desperate sobs and moans, no one came rushing to his aid, not a soul. Then the bugs flew off in different directions, and big bad Marvin just sat there hugging his knees and sucking his thumb and weeping and blubbering to nobody at all. Now the next day Marvin was late for school, but he arrived just in time for show and tell, and he was dragging behind him 2 gigantic black plastic sacks full of all the toys and goodies he'd snatched over the years, and he returned them all one by one with a somber and sincere apology. And then, believe it or not, Marvin McMinahan took his seat and sat with folded hands and looked attentive and polite and pleasant as one of his fellows stepped up to the front of the class and said, "These are my Madagascar hissing cockroaches." And that's when Marvin's underpants went from clean to dirty. The end. Thanks for listening, everybody. Tune in next time to another episode of the Clyde Always Show.
Always a show. Thank you. All right, so we have Justice, then Owen, then Stephanie, then me, then Greg, then Richard comes back, and Bracy, as in Bracy Dozy, who's new here. Did I say that right?
Did you say it right?
Bracy Dozy, right? Okay.
Yeah.
She helped me out with that. All right, give her a nice round of applause.
Get all casual and have a seat.
Yeah.
This is not a poem. This is a book introduction by George Carlin.
Oh.
Introduction to Murder at the Conspiracy Convention. Funnier than Danny Kaye, more powerful than Jerry Lewis, as important as acid. That was Paul Krasner to me during the 1960s. I'll explain. As America entered the magic decade, I was leading a double life. I had been a rule bender and lawbreaker since first grade. A highly developed disregard for authority got me kicked out of 3 schools: the altar boys, the choir, summer camp, the Boy Scouts, and the Air Force. I didn't trust the police or the government, and I didn't like bosses of any kind. I had become a pot smoker at 13. 1950, an unheard of act in an old-fashioned Irish neighborhood. It managed to get me through my teens. But my career goal had a different flavor. From the earliest stage, I wanted to be a comedian like Danny Kaye or Jerry Lewis. It was an understandable goal for someone who didn't quite fit in, but it was a decidedly mainstream dream. To get ahead, it required playing by the rules and pleasing the public, mostly on their own terms. So that's what I did. My affection for pot continued and my disregard for standard values increased, but they lagged behind my need to succeed. The Playboy Club, Merv Griffin, Ed Sullivan, and the Copacabana were all part of a path I found uncomfortable but necessary during the early 1960s. But as the decade turned along and the country changed, I did too. Despite working in establishment settings, as a veteran malcontent, I found myself hanging out in coffee houses and folk clubs with others who were out of step people who fell somewhere between beatnik and hippie. Hair got longer, clothes got stranger, music got better. It became more of a strain for me to work for straight audiences. I took acid and mescaline. My sense of being on the outside intensified. I changed. All through this period, I was sustained and motivated by The Realist, Paul Krausner's incredible magazine of satire, revolution, and just plain disrespect. It arrived every month, and with it a fresh supply of inspiration. I can't overstate how important it was to me at the time. It allowed me to see that others who disagreed with the American consensus were busy expressing those feelings and using risky humor to do so. Paul's own writing in particular seemed daring and adventurous to me. It took big chances and made important arguments in relentlessly funny ways. I felt down deep that maybe I had some of that in me too, that maybe I could be using my skills to better express my beliefs. The Realist was the inspiration that kept pushing me to the next level. There was no way I could continue reading it and remain the same. My changes took a year or two, and as the 70s rolled into view, I found my comic voice just as The Realist found countless rich targets in Nixon, Agnew, Kissinger, and the many Republican criminals who paraded through our lives. Not even disco could dim Paul's light, and in subsequent years, it has grown only brighter, as these pages in his earlier books will attest. Readers of Playboy, High Times, the LA Weekly, and the Los Angeles Times all have benefited from his informed sense of outrage, his intelligent dissent, and his ever-lively spirit of civic mischief. The funs and laughs are simply bonuses. You will find them all present in this collection of reminiscences, reportage, illuminations, fantasies, and just plain hallucinations. By the way, I still have my collection of The Realist from the 60s and 70s. I keep them in a cheap plastic red, white, and blue American flag shoulder bag, inscribed on the side, 1968 Democratic National Convention. I wasn't there. I was represented by Paul Krausner. I got a flavor of my favorite brand new work. Thanks for listening. Minor history project.
Thank you. All right. Mr. Owen, then Stephanie, myself, Greg, Richard, and Grace. Give him a nice round as he comes up here.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
These are some small old ones, but small new ones actually. At Starbucks, the evening of the sonnet, the same sky, the invisible planets. My mind is like a clock. They are moored lazily against the dock. A sky so blue, it is as if I had swallowed a train. It is as if I had swallowed a fly. At Starbucks, the day has slowed down to an unearthly music. It is as if the notes have found heaven, dazed. A quiet mystic climbs the sky. Starbucks, quiet mystic full of music has climbed the sky. A sky with music so faint I can almost hear it. Clouds. Pink nimbus, caucus, green leaf adieu, a new allure, the ring abide, resuscitate, arise the nerds of Duffon madness, sinews the blushing blast. Cannot see the falconer tasting with it all. What am I to you or now? You are nobody. Who am I? The shark's nimbus turning in the widening gyre. Now I stood my frock of emptiness. Sad heights of gloom with darkness and naivete, the quiet one ran around the clock we call time and the river of the very air we breathe, to the opus of mystic nobility. the hieratic death to its hymn of meaning. Forte. See death advance now, the nimble schemes left planted. Without, say it again, we are naughty. Lost, I say again, she says, turning a thimble of charm and reason to the poor symbol of faith and balance. Faith lost, snout cannot fly, cannot say die, crowd. What you mean, you may say, you zazy crowd. Kimball, my mind's it could have been Loretta. Long ago under the raison of maudlin piety I fight Rosetta, I beseech thee bread and maison de Pompadour, Montrachet les Jardins, leftover variety swayed, proud as my garden. Pray. Now for this miserable world, impossible I speak of no, so indifferent an oracle, we so bow to praise and dance. All ears so much the vision of tears we so expect from carousel beginnings. Hid not the foredeck aflame, her short skirt aflame on this Sunday, ite messias. Go now outside the sun, sky of sun, unending darkness we so call a truce with witchcraft and wit, so full of friendly chanteuse, moral eyes of flowers and stars so chaste on the porch of rhyme and the sea. Friendly bow to Owen W. Dunkel, my father. Losses us full fathom 5, my father lives up the heaven's stars, sky from thunder and nuances, so desireful and mild smog aglow, the peaceful night song I know, born of sun and men to intake, love song we call L.A., the kind do not go so gentle into that, rage thy father's house did understand, carried his son's cradle lazy, so search the song of innocence, comfort, frolic. The lamb make thee, tiger, all night on the prayer and bread, thy servant, the Lord's care for me, thy child of love. Alive now, in the midst of a theater of the lingering half-truths, he planned in his vanity of sea and loam and tide spewing. Dove of soul and wisdom, he loved in his eyes of the love story his merchants sought after, poetry of princes and pagans. Above it all in the universe, his eyes vain and imploring to heaven, their glorious chant of make-believe. Skies open to the firmament, exult, stars as though they're but one look. Choke the silver lining, threads lazy as God, broke. Be now muse we so much love to in our chaste soiree, we so divinely pray to each drunk Lord Bacchus. Turn day into night, water into wine, our introit of syllables that search the pure morning of clouds, that pray to absolute peace and leaves that eddy and swirl their journey on the backs of the wild oats of wind and rain. Hey, thank you very much.
Thank you, Owen. Are you gonna want to be up on the open? No? Okay. You want to make it? You just want to? Okay. Just want to make sure you put your name. All right. Alistair Cook. He said he couldn't come, but Don Amici. Don? Back? Check. Blank. Okay, that takes care of those people. There's several people in it. Anyway, Stephanie Manning is next. I was afraid the stars would just come out show up and
Okay, so here's 2 short ones by me and then one by this guy.
By that guy?
Yeah, that guy.
Okay.
This one's called Demon Hovering. Over my head today, he threatens to block my view of the sky and sunshine and make the petals shed their blooms early. I will search for the Ellen's hummingbirds deep in the park shrubs and keep my eye out for its own vision by the grace of God. I only have so much to say in the matter.
That's right.
And here's one I went on a bird walk at Lake Merritt today, so you'll get that here. Resident white pelican with permanent broken wing dominates the east shore of Lake Merritt in Oakland. Show off, very popular with the wild white pelicans who come to visit him frequently, surrounded by cormorants, I say coots, there were no coots there, sorry, and mallards. Sunshine twinkling on the water, and many members of the waning bird-watching generation. Sad to see each and every year less and less birds, more and more big buildings, humans, and cars. Nature losing her grip on the earth. But you wouldn't know it looking at the cormorant babies in the nests on the island in the middle of Lake Merritt. Check it out. And I'll just read one more by Thomas Merton, who's a great poet that was a Franciscan monk, I believe. It's called The Man in the Wind. Here is the man who fancies Arab ponies, Captain April, walking like the wind, breathing the happy sword light of the sun. Secret in his looks and manner, he's not as inattentive to the music as he seems, that jangles in the empty doorways. But his well-tempered spirit, wrapped in the middle of a harmony, flies to a breathless wedding with the Palisades. Then his five senses separate as their numbers scatter like birds from in front of his steps, and instantly return like water to the common Bermuda of the flashing river. The mathematics of the air describes a perfect silence, and Captain April's mind, leaning out of its own amazing windows, dives in a swirl of doves.
Already it's me. Well, thank you for the card. So keep those cards and letters. So soon we have.
I know. What?
Never mind. So, contrary to what I normally do, I usually read my own material, but
Somehow I got this book, Odd Ganache, You Can't Get There From Here, and I've been reading through it just as part of my new program of reading every day. And now, he's famous for poems like this. It's titled Nature Walks, or Not to Mention a Dopping of Sheldrace. It's not doping, it's dopping. I don't know. What happy appellation these of birds and beasts in companies, a shrewdness of apes, a sloth of bears, a skulk of foxes, a husk of hares, an exultation 'tis of larks, and possibly a grin of sharks. But I declare a squirt of squid I should not like to be amid. Skin divers boldly swim through sepia, but I can think of nothing creepier.
all right. But this, near the end of the book,
This is not, I mean, it was, I don't, well, no, I'm gonna try it. A Tale of the 13th Floor. The hands of the clock were reaching high in an old midtown hotel. I name no name, but its sordid fame is table talk in hell. I name no name, but hell's own flame illuminates the lobby garish, a gilded snare just off Times Square for the maidens of the parish. The revolving doors swept the grimy floor like a crinoline grotesque, and on a lowly bum from an ancient slum crept furtively past the desk. His footsteps sift into the lift as a knife into the sheath it slipped, stealthy and swift into the lift as a vampire into a crypt. Old Maxie, the elevator boy, was reading an ode by Shelley, but he dropped the ode as if it were a toad when the gun jammed into his belly. There came a whisper soft as mud in the bed of an old canal. Take me up to the suite of Pinball Pete, the rat who betrayed my gal. The lift doth rise with groans and sighs like a duchess up for the waltz. Then in the middle shaft, like a duchess daft, it changes its mind and halts. The bum bites lip as the landlocked ship doth neither fall nor rise, but Maxie, the elevator boy, regards him with burning eyes. First to explore the 13th floor, says Maxie, would be wise. Quoth the bum, there's moth on your double cross, I've been this way before. I've cased the joint at every point, and there is no 13th floor. The architect, he skipped direct from 12 to unto 14. There is 12 below and 14 above, and nothing in between.
for the vermin who dwell in this hotel could never abide 13. Said Max, 13, that floor obscene is hidden from human sight, but once a year it doth appear on Walpurgis night. Ere your peril your soul in murderous roll, heed those who sinned of yore. The path they trod lead away from God and on to the 13th floor, where those they slew, a grisly crew, reproach them forevermore. We are higher than 12 and below 14, said Maxie to the bum, and the sickening draught that taints the shaft is a whiff of kingdom come. The sickening draught that taints the shaft blows through the devil's door, and he squatched the latch and the fungus patch and revealed the 13th floor. It was cheap cigars like sordid scars that glowed in the rancid gloom. The murk was a boil of fusel oil and reek of stale perfume. And round there dragged and wound a loathsome conga chain, a square and the hep in the slow locked step, the slayer and the slain. For the souls of the victim ascend on high, but their bodies below remain. The clean souls fly to the home in the sky, but their bodies remain below, to pursue the Cain who each had slain, and harry him to and fro. When life is extinct, each corpse is linked to its givering murderer, as a church's chicken is bound with wire around the neck of its killer cur. Handcuffed to hate comes Dr. Waite. He tastes the poison now, and Ruth and Judd in a head of blood with horns upon its brow. Up sachets Nan with her feathery fan from Florodora bright, and she never hung for Caesar Young, but she's dancing with him tonight. Here's the bulging hip and the foam-flecked lip of the mad dog Vincent Call, and over there that ill-met pair, Becker and Rosenthal. Here's legs of Dutch and a dozen such of braggart bullies and brutes, and each one bends neath the weight of friends who are wearing concrete suits. Now the damned make way for the double damned who emerge with shuffling pace from the nightmare zone of persons unknown with neither name nor face. And poor Dot King, one doth cling, joined in a ghastly jig, while Yule doth jape at a golden goblet shape and tickled it with his wig. See Rothenstein pass like a breath on glass, the original Black Sox Kid. He riffles the pack, riding piggyback on the killer whose name he hid. And smeared like brine on the slavering swine, Star Faithful, once so fair, drawn from the sea to her debauchery with the salts and sand still in her hair. And still they come, from the bum the icy sweat doth spray, his white lips scream as in a dream, for God's sakes, let's away. If I ever meet with Pinball Pete, I'll not seek his gore, lest at treadmill grim I must trudge with him on the hideous 13th floor. For you I rejoice, said Maxie's voice, as I bid you go in peace, but I am late for a dancing date that nevermore will cease. So remember, friend, as your way your wed, that it would happen to you. But I turned on the heat, on Pinball Pete, you see, I had a daughter too. The bum reached out, and he tried to shout, but the door in his face was slammed, and silent as stone he rode down alone from the floor of the double damned.
Usually doesn't like things, but, I was like, that's not usually what I would expect from him. All right. Following that loud cacophony of horrificness, we have Greg Pond to come up here and rescue the evening and bring up the taste, what you call it?
Not Greg Pond.
Not Greg Pond.
Greg Pond!
Oh, no! A song and verse.
Good to be back. Good to see everyone
Yeah.
again.
Good to be back.
Yeah.
Good to be front, actually.
With the daylight, we're seeing you in daylight.
That's right.
Daylight.
Okay. A fall from grace. Falling fast and staring down as my character's assassinated before I even hit the ground, while the wind's rushing sound sends a dull, deafening drill, increasing in intensity as gravity stands still. Earth core bound, I'm spiraling now. Blood rushes up, my heart attacked, plummeting towards hell from where there's no way back. My good name dropped at the speed of a rock, off the top of a cliff and unable to stop. In the last split second, the last I can recall thinking how I'm going to hate this much anticipated fall from grace.
Yeah.
Final call. When hope gets left at the gate, it gets replaced by fear and hate. The love we were given has been lost since we've been living in this culture of violence and rape. Proposals for control, like suggestions for change, silently fall on the deafest ears and bites the dust that thickens on shelves during midterm election years. When our feelings reel from madness to sadness to glad it wasn't us, that something's got to be done. Annihilation awaits any nation that loves its guns more than its sons, loves its daughters just a little less, and its neighbors not much at all. A generation is left to fend for itself, while a country ignores its final call.
Bravo.
And my last one, since it's baseball season, second base. Do you think we'll both arrive, same bat station, same bat time? Will you be early or will I be late? And what will we decide when the choice is yours or mine when we're standing on second base? Maybe we should pack a compass and a map, a GPS plus directions, just in case. We should somehow manage to wander off and get lost as we're running towards second base. What would we do if our bodies were fused? Eyes locked, fingers linked, single embrace? It makes no difference what we do as long as we keep ourselves glued to the edge of second base. Can we hug if we get cold? Just how tight? Well, I don't know. Depends on who wants to win this race. If I don't win, I won't curse. I don't mind if you come first, if we both get to steal second base. Should we stop for a kiss? In your car? What's your wish? In a park? At my house? Outer space? Even in the middle of a storm, we'll stay dry in each other's arms, snuggle, cozy, and warm on second base. Can we reach out and touch? Not too much, but just enough. We'll be fine if we don't move in haste. But next time I'll get smart. Maybe I won't drive and I'll take BART, so I can slide my card right through second base. Will we become so obsessed we will wonder, care, or guess which one of us finally won the race? Does it matter right or left as long as we both pass the test to get from first to second base? Thank you.
All right. We have Richard coming back for the open, then Gracie, and then Mark. You're gonna go then
Just before the feature?
just before the feature.
Yeah.
And then our feature. All right. So Richard, coming back up here, please. Give me a little round of applause. He's bringing his devices. Device is nice.
That's why I come here, so I can always write a new one. Let's do something really short, something that's always been on my mind. This is a very, 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 very short one. Why are women always the whores?
Yeah.
Why are men always calling women the whores? It's the men who are always looking for a warm, damn hole. What does that make men? Whores! Sorry. Been bugging. What do you call them? Hey. Expensive salmon. Woman comes into a deli in the 1970s. Lox is on her mind. She is wearing a full coat and drips in precious stones and gold and platinum, as well as clothes from the finest clothiers. She wants a pound of sliced lox, but before she orders, she asks the price. He tells her $16 a pound. She balks. She acts as if this is beyond her means. For some reason, he asked her if she knows why the salmon is so expensive. She answers without hesitation, "It's those damn Indians." Here we go again. It's always the Indians that are at fault. He is infuriated at this blame the Indian game. So you mean to tell me you're not going to blame the Japanese, the Usons, the Russians, or the Scandinavians who fish at the salmon in the ocean, or the sports fishermen who fish at the mouth of the river, or the pesticides and insecticides that run off from the farms, or the silt runoff from the lumbering industry, or the dams the salmon must overcome? No, you're going to blame the native people, less than 1.5% of the population, for the depletion of salmon. It must be known that native people on the Klamath were not allowed to sell the smoked salmon, only the gringo. This just angers her. How dare he talk to her in this manner? She wants his head, and she'll have it. She immediately seeks his boss to make her complaint. She is sure that he will lose it. He is sure he will lose his job, but he didn't care. As it was, his boss did not fire him. He learned that the gringo would never ever take responsibility, and that they will blame anyone but themselves. And another happy one. Property rights. This may be a piece in work, but I'm going to read it tonight. Usons are possessed with property rights, as well they should be, since they clutched, grabbed, stole, murdered, and dispossessed the possessors of everything they could and still do. Welcome to contemporary USA. There are even some acculturated native people who support Usons' property rights, warning Usons about the government or local resistance as to how they might use or sell their property. Imagine that. A lovely divide and conquer tactic. Usons, as well as the imperious governments of their ilk, believe they actually own, possess. So what they do is they build weapons, threaten their neighbors and people afar. They will come after you with everything, weapon, threat, rumor, true or untrue, and every tactic, including murder. If you don't believe me, again, I invite you to talk to the indigenous peoples in the Americas. You kill each other over paper thinking it represents something. That paper gives you the things that you need. But when everything starts to unravel, and at some point it will, you will have to eat your money for fiber. They will never admit to the whole system is nothing but a con, so everyone must keep the fiction going. We've convinced that there isn't another way. We never, in any real way, have ever dealt or decided to discuss it. You gave up before you even tried. The Usons will never revolt. As macho as we act, as macho as they act, many would be shitting their pants or running, falling on their own swords to get away. That's why you always send your children. Thank you.
Mr. Samuel, thank you. The object lesson. So, just for the people who are semi-new, oh, really nice.
That's Aunt Jemima.
Oh. He'll tell you that's right. So, we have the people who are semi-new or relatively new or need to be reminded. When we have a person who's new here, we try to, when we welcome them up, we actually applaud loudly, make noises.
Like 10 minutes? I'm waiting for someone to come and see me.
Can you push your back?
Oh yeah, we can do that. We can do that. We'll do him.
Okay,
We'll
yeah.
do
him or
Martin Joseph,
What's
and then
his
we can further adjust if need be.
Okay.
I don't want you to. Is this? Oh, well, then we can do it.
You just arrived, right?
Okay, just arrived. All right.
Just
So
for it.
what we do is we pound the tables and boot and make animal noise and things like that as a welcoming thing, just to show you how enthusiastic we are about you being
Now
here.
there's no
So, and we only do this once.
No person.
Okay. So, Bracy Dozy, give her a nice round of applause. There we go. So, just, oh yeah, I can. This is that good? Make sure, I will adjust it.
Thank you.
All right.
So I wrote this piece. It's called A Change from You and Me. Don't mind if I have a big grin on my face.
Or just get really close to the mic so it'll carry for you. Thank you.
Is this good?
Yeah.
It starts off, you're speaking, I'm hearing, but I ain't comprehending. You're saying the people of today need to learn a different way. The people of our generation was built on the foundation coming up from the roots of the bravest. Even through the hatred we waited and we still became the greatest. We riding, we fighting, we lighting up the ways of life, trying to set things right. Teaching our young that black ain't white and white ain't right. We taking a stand for the misunderstoods in the hoods. Mothers burying their babies, daddies and graves pushing up daisies. Families torn apart because of the broken hearts. The ones sworn to protect us neglected, redirected instead of protecting their wrecking. Families, lives, dreams, ambitions, taking hopes and dreams out of young child's eyes. Replacing the fear of being shot with that ammunition because of suspicion. We listen to what we missing. I wish that we can just. Oh, I forgot. I'm so sorry, I forgot the line.
Go on.
Get up. We're fine.
This one here?
The one under it. The one by your hand.
Oh, this one. Sorry.
Thank you.
It's all right.
Don't be nervous. You're good.
We like it.
I wish that we can change the way we see things. Starting with no pain or misery. No more heartbreaks or poverty. And killings are the only thing I see. A change has gotta come from you and me.
Thank you. All right, so now we have Mr. Martin Joseph before our feature, and then we'll have Hal Robbins coming after to do his mini. So, Mr. Martin Joseph, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
He seems to be ready. He has the appearance of readiness. The curl on his lips speaks volumes.
Good evening, Sacred Grounds.
Good evening.
I have a special treat for you tonight. These are the poems of my granddaughter, Molly June Harbin.
Oh, she's watching your
8 years old,
Yay.
South Orange, New Jersey.
Oh, let me see.
The videos work.
Nice.
Number 1, sunken shell. This shell is a sunken ship. It's full of knowledge about the endless blue and crashing waters above. Number 2, leaf in fire. A feather is a leaf in fall, burnt by fire, speckled with ashes. At the end of the leaf is a small thorn. My cat, Vegas. My cat loves to sit by me, warming me, calming me, filling up, letting air out like a hot air balloon. 5, door of a book. A book is a small door. When you step inside, you step into a different world. When you finish the book, you close that door and open another.
I like that.
For 5, this is Hattie. Walking down the halls, mask over face, jaw clenched to stop me from squealing.
I step in, and there she is, my baby sister in Mom's arms. And Mom says, "This is Hattie."
Oh, very nice. Yeah, I'll take it over. Go on one place.
Balloon. A balloon is an apple that had a fizzy drink that made it float up, up, up until it hits the ceiling. Picture. Every time I see a picture of someone gone yet not forgotten, I'm sucked in and I drop down, far down, and I see them standing beside me. When I float up and I'm pulled out, I sit there wishing that I'd known them. The book holder. The book holder is like a great big chair where books are always sitting and waiting, sitting and waiting, sitting and waiting until someone picks them up. Someone like me. Great. Hattie. Squirmy, smiling, laughing. Here she goes, rolling over, sitting up, scooting, growing up, crawling, pulling up, standing, and now we have a walking 1-year-old. Poster. Posters are useful, but sometimes they will brag that what they are about is the best. And if you have a billboard of posters, they'll argue, and then somebody walks by and they freeze until the person moves on, and the argument continues. Ants. Scuttle. Run everywhere. Do you have to be on time? Really? That's a huge crumb. All the way back home? Are you sure? Well, that's ants for you. Bunny. Hoppity, hop, hop. Where are you off to next? I brought you a carrot. Hoppity, hop, hop. No. Hop, hop, hoppity, crunch. That's what I thought. Post-it. The post-it is like a spider spinning its flat, sticky thread, but it doesn't trap prey. It sticks itself instead. Calendar. The calendar is a network of railroads where a train is being built day by day, day by day, day by day, until the month is done. And finally, leprechaun. They'll never know it was me. The little man in green. I'll thump in the heater, I'll knock at the door, and then I'll disappear. Molly June Carbon.
Thank you so much. Oh, yeah, thank you. Keep those cards and letters coming. Use them.
All right. That was one of my favorite parts of the evening where I introduced the feature, and I'm never very long about it. The person that's about to read tonight has a depth of understanding, not only of poetry, of how to put things on a page, but how to present them.
Time's up, Dan.
My time's up.
I'm so ashamed. But as you will see when you hear storytelling, adventures of the mind, the spirit, the soul, all come alive, and they're orchestrated very, very well. So you'll be glad, I'll be glad, very glad to have him here, Gary Turchin. Come on up.
I'll help you set up the meeting. Thank you. Make sure that's set up. That good? Yeah.
side so I can get at the microphone.
Yeah.
Okay, my name is Gary Turchin, and I spent years writing for children, so I kind of resurrected some of my old children's work, and I'm going to do inspired by, that was, what was his name you were reading? Ogden Nash,
Thank you, Ogden Nash.
who was an inspiration for me many years. So I'm going to start with an Ogden Nash-like poem.
Great. So it's an interesting theme this evening. Ogden Nash, kids, and, very nice. Like it.
This is called The Alphabet. It's a crime poem. You have to solve the crime. The alphabet. The alphabet was quite upset. Someone stole my letter. She knew she had to get it back before she could spell Eder. She asked her, all was round about ouncing all. Have you seen my letter? Well, ounced all, I don't recall. I hope you soon spell Eder. She asked a E that uzzed a tree. Have you seen my letter? No, uzzed E, I did not see. I hope you soon spell Eder. She asked a Oi, his name was Roy. Have you seen my letter? No, said Oi without much joy. I hope you soon spell Eder. She asked a Urgler, Ig, Ad, Urgler. Have you seen my letter? Who, me? Poor me? Innocent me? I hope you soon spell better. Forgive my neurological misbehaviors. I'm moving around a lot. I have Parkinson's, and I changed my meds in the last few days, and so I'm kind of bouncing around a lot more than usual. But we'll manage somehow. This is a more traditional poem. It's called 1,000 Little Irritants. The way mail piles up, the way we argue, the way we fail and keep failing, the way we age and carry grudges, the way we hurt ourselves and each other, the way we smell or others smell, the way we have to wait, the way we have to hurry, the way no one cares, the way we don't care, the way our government doesn't understand, the way our understanding doesn't matter, the way we live or don't live, the way we die or will die. And tomorrow, the sun, like a giant ball of wonder, will bounce up, happy and yellow, inventing each day like it's the only thing that matters. I'm going to do a kind of a classic poem of mine. It's called My Father Who Art in Heaven. I'll do some of this by memory. My Father who art in heaven, hallowed be his name, which isn't art, it's Frank. And I don't know if Frank art in heaven or not. The rules for getting in are vague and have changed over time. Either way, my father Frank, hallowed be his name, taught me 3 things. How to catch a baseball, which was heaven. How to drive a car, a little heaven, a little hell. And how not to die, strapped down to a hospital bed because his body bucked and kicked like he was riding an imaginary bull to the promised land, and the hospital found it convenient to restrain the man's last ride with leather straps, arms and legs trussed to a gurney, which I, dutiful son, declared cruel, only to be threatened by a hospital suit. "We're just doing our job, sir. If you don't like it, you can take your father somewhere else," which is impossible, of course. This is the intensive care unit, and Frank isn't going anywhere. But it was enough of a threat to shut dutiful son up. Meanwhile, my father Frank, hallowed be his name, who may or may not art in heaven, hallowed be his name, is suffocating slowly and not so slowly from emphysema. 60 years a smoker he, 60 years, and no room in his lungs for air. Meanwhile, the elder son, 3,000 miles away, probably smoking a cigarette himself, packing his bag, waits for his father's last breath, waits for the call that says it's time, come. He has been waiting for this call his whole life, waiting not to mourn, but to finally be released. And the brute's firstborn, the daughter ballerina, danced away to Colorado after months of serving as his look after and look over and look to and look about and look for, and now when reached by the hospital phone reacts with a, "Look, it's your turn now. Don't call me till he's dead," and hangs up. Don't call me till he's dead. And dutiful son, anger bucking and kicking in his veins, returns to his father's bedside and conjures catching that baseball in the backyard, the one Dad threw too high, and he falling backwards to catch it, backwards, back of head slamming hard to the ground, hard, but the ball remained in the glove because he kept his eye on it, like Dad said. That's how you do it. You keep your eye on it. And it's 2 a.m, and his eye is on Frank, hallowed be his name, and he tries to swab the man's parched mouth, but the father will have none of it. No, he shook. The only conscious moment, the whole day and night. And son is drained from his duty, drained from his anger, drained from being drained. After all, the man is tenacious, will hang on for days, won't he? This is a marathon, isn't it? And he kisses his father, whispers, "I love you, Papa." And the hurt was in how hard it was to say it and mean it, even now, at this juncture, this cusp. And he retrieves the father's town car, a Lincoln, always driving something big, that man, and drives it home, what was once home, drives it just the way his father taught. Easy on it. Keep your eye on the road. Be aware. And he's aware of time, and how quickly it passes. And he tries to go to, and he goes to bed, or tries to, but he's too aware of too many things to find sleep slope. And an hour later, the phone rings. It's the hospital suit. Your father has passed. He calls the neighbor who has been keeping an eye, and the brother, now on his way, who took it as one last fatherly insult. That bastard died on my birthday. And he waits till morning, dutifully till morning, to call Miss Don't Call Me Till He's Dead. And sleep is hopeless now, a well of energy surging in his veins. Is it relief? Regret? Revenge? His curiosity gets the better of him, and he retrieves the will he knew he would, and starts the accounting. Keep your eye on the ball. Keep your eye on the road. Keep your eye on those called to gather when your heaven calls you home. called Sweet Fate. We were talking about fate, about the choices we made or didn't, how given another chance we'd start out the same but would somehow come to different ends. It's a useless exercise measuring fate when its sugar has already dissolved in our tea, the cup drained years ago. They delivered polio vaccines in sugar too. Remember? The cubes were stained red by the medicine. The whole family lined up for it, even Pop. The whole neighborhood, a line around the school, saving us all the hell of a horrible fate. Interventions are possible. Stay optimistic if you can. I say this for my own benefit as much as yours. Would it only be 10 years later? Less? Sugar cubes would offer a different medicine, clear on the outside, a tilted radiance on the in, altering a generation's course. It's always been that way, you know. The old make way for the new, even when the new aren't ready, or the old. A few stimulants to get the ball rolling is all it takes. If I had to do it again, I'd be a comedian, preach the gospel of laughing till it hurts, or a rabbi, sell used stories to old car salesmen, or an agnostic poet who writes every day about almost nothing except God and gets no investment tax credits for the effort. I'd go back to college too, find Jesus, Krishna, Buddha, study art, science, sex, geography, fate. Maybe if I plotted a trajectory, an actual career path, I'd end up in Rome, rabbi to the Pope. Shake things up in Washington too, and why not Jerusalem while I'm at it, and Pyongyang too. Anything is possible if fate gives you a push, and there's enough something in the sugar that can instigate the dream. I'm going to read something I've never read before, brand new. There was a terrible accident in Berkeley last week. You probably heard of it. A balcony collapsed with 13 kids on it. So I wrote this. It's called The Gawkers. It's not really done, but this will help me with writing it to read it. The Gawkers. An early morning helicopter circling over and over prevents his return to sleep. Turns on the TV to a special report. Balcony in Berkeley apartment collapses during birthday party. 6 dead, 7 others seriously injured. Most of the victims were just 21, visitors from Ireland. Pictures taken from the noisy helicopter inform the story. It jolts him out of bed. At 21, he'd stood on foreign balconies with his compatriots too. Returned safe and sound, way it's supposed to be. The address is just 3 blocks away. He knows the building. It couldn't be 10 years old. A few hours later, he and Hudson the dog saunter up to the site. The gawkers are already out in force. The media, with their giant satellite erections, panting over the already hot international story. A dozen cameras standing on tripods pointed to a balcony caught upside down on the one that was once below it, came to rest there after throwing its unlucky 13 passengers to their death and naming below. It's 6:15:15, a bearded Berkeley man, who looks a little bit like our dog walker, tells him. That's 666, you know. He thinks for a moment. It's June 16th, not 15th, he corrects. Well, it was just after midnight, and you have to factor in daylight savings time, says the doppelganger. It must be 6:15:15 every day in Iraq and Syria then, he tells the bearded one. A woman dressed for office work takes interest in Hudson. What kind of dog is this, she asks. A Labradoodle. She gets down on a knee and pets Hudson, who adores the attention. There'll be lawsuits, big one, Gray Suit Man says. Probably a lawyer himself. There'll be plenty of blame to go around. Circular firing squad, he chuckles. So cute, office worker says. Is he a puppy? Dry rot, says casual khaki man, seeking someone to tell this to. You can see it from down here. I'm a contractor. Moisture gets trapped in there. It's stuccoed over, and so there's no chance for it to dry out. Doesn't take long for the wood to decay. He's 5, he tells Hudson's new admirer. A cherry picker delivers 3 men to the hole, where only hours earlier the balcony held living bone and flesh, breathtakers, soccer players, students of the world. They take pictures, measure things, make notes. I heard they sold this building for $75 million a few years ago, he tells a woman in a wide-brimmed Sunday hat. He knows her from the neighborhood. Biggest apartment renting company in the country, headquartered back east somewhere. Probably didn't even know it had balconies, nevertheless inspected them. The balconies were supposed to be decorative, Hat tells him. She'd read about it on online posts of a planning commissioner who served when the building had been approved. Decorated these young people right out of the world, he tells her. How do they even fit 13 adults on that thing? Asks Miss Workday, still petting Hudson. A young mother and her 2 kids amble by. Did something happen here? The mother asks. Well, it still needs a little work. That needs a little work.
Good ending.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit now. I'm going to do a bit. I told you I had Parkinson's, and that should be obvious. This is my little description of my story. It's called That Actor Guy. That actor guy. What was his name? You know, that movie star, the Back to the Future guy. Then he had that TV show. Then he got that shaky, whatchamacallit. Yeah, that. Hey, you got that too, don't you, man? Bummer. Well, they'll fix it, won't they? Yeah, 'cause nowadays they fix all that stuff eventually, don't they? My wife has a cousin, a dentist. He got that thing. They can't do nothing for you? Yeah, them pills are good, aren't they? Worse than the problem. Ain't that the way it always is? My wife's cousin had to retire. So you retired? Yeah, who can afford that these days? So you're working then? You was laid off? Say, you can't catch a break, can you there, fella? So what are you doing with all this time on your hands? Writing poetry. That right. Nice. There any money in that these days? I didn't think so. Don't get me wrong, I like poetry. It's funny. Well, some of it is. I wrote a poem back in high school, I don't know if you remember. My mother, about my dog. My mother kept it. Not the dog, the poem. You want to see it? Sure, someday when you have time, of course. So you any good at this poetry business? Oh, go on, you was always a smart guy. Now you got that worried look them poets all get. You know, do you ever selling them poetry things? You know, them greeting companies? What is it, that Hallmark thing? Hallmark, yeah, Hallmark. Because I had a friend in junior college, he sold them a few things. He made a little bit of money on it. Of course, what am I thinking? You're a real writer. I wouldn't write crap like that if I didn't have to either. See, I don't know anything about writing or anything. Although I gotta tell you, my English teacher told my mother that my poem was very promising. You sure you don't want to see it? Sure, someday when you have time. Oh, I bet your mother saved all your poems, though, didn't she? No, now ain't that something? Here I am, I ain't no poet, and my mother saved all that stuff of mine. And here you are, Mr. Poetry himself, and your mother didn't save none of that? That's that iron word. What's that iron word? Irony. Yeah, that's irony. Isn't that irony? I thought so. I liked irony. It's funny in a funny kind of way, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. You know, man, that thing you got, that ain't no irony. That's fucked. That's fucked. Listen, if you ever need anything, you could always, talk. Yeah, yeah. No, of course, I understand. I don't mean anything. No, of course. No problem. Yeah, sure. Of course. Hey, listen. I got an idea for you. Yeah. I still get ideas. I do. You know that actor guy? Yeah, the one we was just talking. Exactly. You should get him on the phone. Give him a call. Maybe he'll like your poetry. Woo. Thank you. Woo. Okay, all right. Okay, a couple short ones. This is called Master of the Universe. Master of the Universe laid an egg, sat upon it for eternity, dreamed it was an oyster, discovered by a child visiting the sea. Child pried it open, found a pearl, which became the world as we know it. It hangs to this day around the child's neck, while the master rests patiently upon the egg inside of all things. This is called How to Write the Greatest Poem in the History of the World. 1. Find a comfortable chair. 2. In the middle of an uncomfortable life. 3. Be seated. 4. Notice the difference between the chair and the life. 5. Take careful notes. 6. Carefully edit your notes. 7. Title the edited notes The Greatest Poem in the History of the World. A really goofy one. It's called Marooned. Marooned is what becomes of red on a deserted island. I only mention that for blue's sake. People forget where yellow comes from, but yellow doesn't come from anywhere. What do you think this is? Pink? This is goofy. This is a haiku, and this is my last poem. My promise is to finish this haiku on time and under budget. Thank you.
Wow, there you go. Didn't I tell you at the very beginning something that, I would say, yeah, that's true. So, contrary to normal procedures, instead of taking a brief break here, we have Hal Robbins. He's the only other person that we have to come up. He's going to do our mini feature, and then we'll take care of these prizes. And we'll be finishing earlier than we normally do, but that's fine. So, Mr. Hal Robbins, give him a round of applause. And he has his cards ready. Look at that. All right.
Did you not ask me to get them ready? So I got them ready.
You are good.
I'm going to read a poem which I have not committed to memory, called Feathers on the Ground. Poor bower bird, your gifts are gone. Your far-sought true love shuns your heart. Her bright eye gleams no longer on your favor, and you must depart. In summer's field she will disdain the tribute she has watched you build. Within, in solitude, remain, your dying love song vainly spill. Brighter the eyes, sharper the beaks, ringed round to pluck and pierce your back. as she looks on but never seeks to block the suitor's fierce attack. The way is shut, the timing wrong, the season has no more to live. No memory of your fading song, with wanton wing she will forgive. And now, I have 8 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I started with 8 minutes. So, Dover Beach by Matthew Arnold. The sea is calm tonight. The tide is full. The moon lies fair upon the straits. On the French coast, the light gleams and is gone. The cliffs of England stand glimmering and vast out in the tranquil bay. Come to the window. Sweet is the night air. Only from the long line of spray where the sea meets the moon-blanched land, listen, you hear the grating roar of pebbles which the waves draw back at their return and fling up the high strand. Begin and cease, and then again begin with tremulous cadence slow, and bring the eternal note of sadness in. Sophocles long ago heard it on the Aegean, and it brought into his mind the turbid ebb and flow of human misery. We find also in the sound a thought, hearing it by this distant northern sea. The sea of faith was once too at the full, and round earth's shore lay like the bright folds of a girdle furled. But now I only hear its melancholy, long withdrawing roar, retreating to the breath of the night wind down the vast edges drear and naked shingle of the world. Ah, come, my love, let us be true to one another, for the world which seems to lie before us like a land of dreams, so various, so beautiful, so new, has really neither joy, nor love, nor light, nor certitude, nor peace, nor help for pain. And we are here as on a darkling plain, swept with confused alarms of struggle and flight, where ignorant armies clash by night. And on a slightly more cheerful concluding note, but not that much more so, this is The Journey of the Magi by T.S. Eliot. A cold coming we had of it, just the worst time of year for a journey, and such a long journey. The ways deep and the weather sharp, the very dead of winter, and the camels galled, sore-footed, refractory, lying down in the melting snow. There were times we regretted the summer palaces on slopes, the terraces, the silken girls bringing sherbet. Then the camel-men running away and wanting their liquor and women, and the night fires going out, and the lack of shelter, the cities hostile, the towns unfriendly, and the villages dirty and charging high prices. A hard time we had of it. In the end, we preferred to travel all night, sleeping in snatches, with a voice ringing in our ears that this was all folly. Then, at dawn, we came down to a little narrow valley, wet below the snow line, smelling of vegetation, with a running stream and a watermill beating the darkness, and 3 trees on the low sky, and an old white horse galloped away in the meadow. Then we came to a tavern with vine leaves over the lintel, 6 hands at an open door dicing for pieces of silver, and feet kicking the empty wine skins. But there was no information. And so we continued, arriving that evening, not a moment too soon, finding the place. It was, you may say, satisfactory. All this I am telling you was a long time ago, and I would do it again. But set down this. Were we brought all that way for birth or death? There was a birth, we had evidence, and no doubt. I had seen birth and death before, but had thought they were different. This birth was hard and bitter agony for us, like death, our death. We returned to our places, these kingdoms, yet no longer at ease here in the old dispensation, with an alien people clutching their gods. I should be glad of another death. Thank you.
All right, thank you for being here and all the poets you read. And now, if would you just kindly shuffle those cards?
Very good.
Well, just cut them a couple of times. Because if you read, you signed up, and then there's a number next to your name, and there's a very high correlation between the number of readers and the number of prizes. So I think everybody's going to get lucky, as they used to say in the old days, before the new days. That's good. And let me get my glasses on so I don't make a mistake here, like I've done in the past. A drum roll, please. Thank you. And the person, Mr. Richard Sanderell.
Oh.
Any one of these fine prizes, poetry.
I'll do the keynote again.
Okay, he likes the keynote.
I have too many books.
It's the keynote, is it?
Yeah.
All right. So you're going to be here next week.
Where would I go?
Well, don't ask me that question.
Well, I don't celebrate the holidays, as you know.
Oh, that's right. There is a holiday coming up.
Or religious or political holidays. I don't celebrate.
Mr. Greg Pond.
It's not yet.
Greg Pond.
Hey, Greg. All right.
See, now if you're going to be here, you could do this. No pressure.
Did they hire the new guy at work yet?
Huh? All right. But you have the calendar, archaeology, and poetry. This is one of them's from 2000. I thought that was an interesting year. That was before the change.
That was before everybody became even more curious. As a poet.
Yeah. It's hard, isn't it?
Presently.
Thank you. And Clyde is not here at the moment. But Stephanie Manning is.
Never heard.
She gives it away, eh?
He donated it all.
Bracy, would you like a prize, please, since you're a reader and your card has been picked?
Pick
So you get to pick
poetry
something out.
books, chapbooks.
Any of these following items can be yours. If you want to become next week, you get a full 8 minutes. I can't recommend them because I haven't read them. These from the Steve Mackett collection.
How are they?
There you go, very good. Mr. Gary Turchin, you are now a reader. You may take one of these fine prizes designed with your mind and mine. I knew he was going to go for that one. Oh, Justice.
Great drawing, good drawing.
Like I said, there was a high correlation of the number of poets and the number of prizes. Yeah, that's a I think I read the poem, the one that she hasn't done is good. I think that's
$3.75 from 2006.
Yeah.
They gave it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Good job.
Oh, this.
Owen Dunkel.
That's the hole that we were pointing to.
Mr.
I thought you
O'Neill.
were pointing up there. No, Mr. Natural came behind you and set
Are you
up.
going to be here next week?
What?
Are you going to be here next week?
Sure, I'll be here.
Billy, can you do this?
Yeah. Hey, Ron.
All right, you're
8
better
minutes.
than.
The second half.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Owen Dunkel, I twisted his arm. Woohoo! All right. Then, Mr. Hal Robbins, any of these three are yours? And then, of course, you, Mr. Martin Joseph.
What?
You're the next person that's up. What? What did I do? And then, of course, it must be you, so I go, these are yours.
Sir,
Oh.
do you have that picture of Aunt Jemima?
Yes, I do. I put it over here so it wouldn't get
That's part
lost.
of my heritage. That's what I want, the picture of Aunt Jemima. Yeah, could you pass that, please? Oh.
I'd have to eat it first, and that would be very rude. All right. Did I not call anybody? Did I miss somebody? Would anybody like this? Anybody going once? Anybody? There you go.
Nobody wants it?
Anybody want a calendar?
It's the pink
There we go.
color.
There we go. Thank you so much. You're helping me out. That's very
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are finishing earlier than we normally do. We have an exclusive audience this evening. Next week, we'll be here, same bat time, same bat station. 7 o'clock, sign up. Reinvest in America today. We need more jobs so those millionaires can live the life that they like to live. Without us, they wouldn't be there. The Lord loves poor people. That's why he made so many. What?
They need a 99%.
They do. They do. 99 to 1. Great odds. What? So anyway, next week,
What's the date?
Jeremy Cantor. I think he's from the East Bay. He's been here before a couple of times. A very, very good reader. It'll be a lot of fun to have.
Next week is the 30.
Is it on the
No, it's the 1st.
Oh,
Next week is the 1st.
Wait a minute, what, next Wednesday?
Next Wednesday is the 1st. So, and again, like I said, I'll post that information about a former host here. That'll be in the email and on the web Facebook. Come back. We enjoy you. Give yourself a round of applause. Pat yourself on the back. Kick somebody next to you. Reach into the back pocket. One last haiku. I'm going to give a haiku. This is my political haiku. Get ready. So swift and deft, it cannot be caught. The president's hand rummaging in your pocket.
You can't stop that guy. He just gets out like, wow, it's gone. Now they got ATMs and everything. You just take it without even looking. How come I feel so much lighter? Oh my God, let's go. Huh? Well, the other thing is like, I mean, I see you, Joe. I just can't think of my mind.
Yeah, Gary,
Nobody's counting people saying what I want to get. I'm just gonna like bring all the troops home. Slowly in an organized way. Do what I can do. And then one person, one vote, you know. I know. It's like, what was that guy, Will Rogers used to say, he was really proud that America sends its legislators all around the world to look into things. And he said it's kind of an expense, but it would be worth it, except for the fact they keep it coming back.
He was charitable.
I know.
You do?
Oh yeah, every Wednesday. At 7 o'clock, and what happens is I pass this around, people sign ideas. Like that.
Hey, not bad for a writer.
Okay, good. It was a little. Sometimes it's like lots of.
I think I read one of my works before its time. It's a very complicated disease.
Yeah, my father had, you know, rather.
I think my grandfather had there's definitely a percentage of it's genetic. I think it happens. But I had a 60% chance. 60%.
Why don't we
Yeah, that's
start?
fine.
Like
You have to say what you have to say.
We're not
You
doing
can say what you want, but that means the next person can say what they want.
Doesn't matter. It's not
Be quiet, guys.
Yeah.
So I look
Particular.
forward to it.
But Ashkenazi Jews have this particular, it's called the LARC 2 gene, and it has a certain hole in it. Leads to come back here. And I have that LARC 2 gene.
My wife is
So that's good.
Okay, that's cool.
A small percentage of them
Does that mean you're coming or not?
Well, her father and father's
I gave
son
you my
have it.
email, right? So you need to know about our calendars. That calendar is really limited and not set to the city.
It's brutal.
You know, we can't even communicate sometimes. He's going like this.
I don't want to get that
Right
far. I
now.
don't want to get that far. I want to. I'm going to try and get out of this business before I get. I think maybe another few years.
Have you shown your brother or sister that poem, where they're in?
They have
Because they were having crazy
brothers have to take 5 songs.
things blew up.
And my sister is in there too. And I read
Like near Roanoke and stuff like that.
You were good. Hey, his story after the feel good to get in the story place. 3 weeks. Hey.
So then we'll be
Okay, so you got
And that's where that way.
The one about that really great art. I love it. So I mean, I have a residency of that for like everything I did. Especially on he's going to Ohio. So I thought I'd like. Oh, sorry, this guy, sorry.
Well, you never know when you might go.
I'm no longer sorry. I'm so sorry. Where? I should have showed you my full recovery Ohio t-shirt.
Then I'm going down near Pomeroy. It's southern. We're near a campground. We're near Athens already.
Oh, Athens, good, that's good, that's pretty country. It's more Italy, it's more Appalachia, more country, more dangerous.
Okay, we will,
Wildlife, that's
Where'd you say before?
Well, I meet my friends in Cleveland, and we take this motor trip down there, and we are there for the duration of the expansion. Well, that's a question. It'll probably end
At the hospital there?
the day
Oh,
after.
okay, yeah.
It'll probably end the 6th.
Should be about there.
You wanna see my stuff before you
Then I
guys
go
want
to
to?
visit my brother. And then
Handmade paper
Well, you might have the weather right, sometimes the weather.
I hope so. I don't mind when they have their thunderstorms that we don't have out here.
Get on the ride, that is lower level.
Okay.
We like that.
Oh,
Have a little-
whoa! Upstate New York, it's in.
In San Francisco, woman,
But it's
Too much information. But the point is like, don't think, oh, I better
Oh,
just.
that's a light, you see, some of them get like crispy teeth.
Don't worry, it's like,
So there's
it's
two
better
different
to err on
ways
the
to
side
make
of, well, I certainly told
see
them.
the difference, right?
It was funny because you timed yourself
So they do it for like invitations.
It sounds like you're on time too. You're on time to toss that.
Like handmade paper. Flax and art.
Artwork and everything on the
Oh,
wall.
yeah, he
That
actually
had a second
changed it around, it used to be like from the ceiling all the way down, it was like, but there was some work that had to be done, so that,
She
a lot of
sent
that's.
it to me on Facebook with no line breaks.
Oh, brilliant. They probably just came in just to do what they had to do.
Oh, and we agreed.
Every weekend right
Here.
Oh my God.
Second time this week.
First time I read it, I thought she said Ella Fitzgerald.
The lighthouse.
Oh, that's the
No,
old
they
cliff
were
house before it
talking
burnt
about
down.
UAG Valley Girls. So
I
I'm
wish,
picturing a
here
dashboard
in San
altar
Francisco,
with
the giant city,
Terrible.
why can't we rebuild that?
And the poet guys.
That just burns millions of dollars a day. You can have like
Already got the millions, right? It's like, why not?
And then all the money goes to like.
Yeah, like people fixing our water.
That is amazing. Gonna get bridges being built.
Oh yeah, that was a tall ships program that they had coming through at the time it was being. Yeah, and that was from a tall ships thing, which was controversial because some of the ships that were like the tall ships had a very interesting history about what they used to carry.
Huh.
Maybe you don't want that ship in the parade. Because
Well, no, we're not gonna kind of throw us off a bit.
Well, keep coming back here. And that's on my address, so I promised down in black and white.
It's a Hamilton Bloom website versus
I want to look at it.
I feel like we're like.
So in my head, she's firm.
unfortunately,
Yes, my name is Tyler.
it's an old overtime.
Yeah, you.
Well, they call it.
But they don't
say. That's good, I'm glad you told me, because I would have said, where's Hal? Because I wouldn't know. I didn't pay what they.
Wow, so it's more like that.
I know,
And people are taking
it's
it
really
as
good to have someone who recites, especially the classics, because it's like we get to hear all these
So
things.
I'm gonna do it again next month.
Do it like one day. Well, you have a good voice.
Yeah. But it makes it does.
And then this.
Good to see you. Have a good trip. Don't do anything dangerous unless you get away.
That's my plan.
She has,
Thanks for coming, guys.
Mr. Bond, nice to see you again.
You too, take care.
See you again
I hope to
soon.
come back again real soon.
And when will that be?
Well,
What's the hand here?
jury duty and.
Oh, still?
No, I'm done.
Oh, so I was gonna say you
3+
were.
weeks.
Wow. So you got like your $50 and you're ready to go, right?
I'm good to go now.
Don't they pay like $8 a day?
No, they pay $15 a day. And then they give you $2 for car fare. Of course, community's $2.25, so you can't even get there one way. You know, but.
Yeah, it's my question, it's like, and they wonder why people don't want to do the jury.
Yeah.
Oh. This is a George Carlin piece of you.
Oh, thank you.
All right, we're the last ones, okay, we're the What one you doing?
Huh? Oh, she's fine, she's visiting her
She
mom.
was here last week.
No, okay.
She's visiting her mom getting resettled in her old house, so she's there to help her get everything settled. She's there for a few weeks probably. We think two or three, but it could be 10.
Ended early tonight, huh?
Yeah. Not many people.